So what's a good title for this episode, Mike?
Creepy crawly, deadly creepy crawly, scary, hairy, hidden things that may or may not exist. That doesn't really, it's not really, it doesn't easily roll off the tongue though. It's not catchy.
I was thinking animals that should not be.
Like the Metallica song?
Exactly.
Except they're animals instead of things.
You guessed it.
All right, let's go. Let's do Lovecraftian animals then. Well, for one, I really wanted to just do like some wacky show, like something that's not our normal cup of tea, you know, with the ghosts and UFOs and demonic possession. Like, we've done a lot of episodes on demonic possession, by the way, and that was completely unintentional, but I realized it last week, and I was like, man, we do a lot of fucking demonic possession episodes.
Yeah, I noticed that myself.
But anyway, yeah, it's like I said, it's completely unintentional, but they're good stories. You know, it makes for a good show. It's easy to talk about. It's fun, scary. Everybody loves it. But anyway, I wanted to do something zany and off the wall. You know, one of those weird cryptid shows. So I started looking into giant spiders. And I'm not talking like tarantulas. I'm talking like eat your kid if you're not watching size spiders.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I was excited because you don't hear too much of a cryptid that's a giant spider. You usually think of like Harry Potter, or if you're an older kid like us, you think of Kroll, that big white spider climbs on that cocoon that's holding it.
Or the Ewok movie.
Yeah. But the possibility of a giant spider, I don't know, for me it kind of falls in with living dinosaurs too much, because there probably were spiders that big at some point in time. So it kind of falls in the line of something that shouldn't exist anymore. So when you brought up talking about giant spiders and actually finding a story about one, my spider senses were a-tingling. Ba-doom.
Oh, shit. I see what you did there. How could you resist, though?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. That was coming.
Well, we've actually talked about giant spiders before, and when we were talking about and by the way, I don't know if this is going to show up on the recordings or not, but the late night fauna are being particularly loud this evening. So if you hear that in the background, that's what it is. Mateo, if it's not in there, you can just cut this part out.
For sure.
No one will ever know. But I wanted to throw it in there just in case, because they're very loud. But when we did the episode on Percy Fawcett, for anyone that may remember that, one of the things that he said he saw when he was mapping parts of South America were giant spiders the size of dogs. And so you think of giants, like think of the size of a dog. Like, let's just say an average dog. You know, they're maybe 3.5 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
You have a spider that size, that spider would destroy your fucking life in a second.
Yeah, again, that's why I was stoked, is because the only place I've heard of actual giant spiders that had any credibility to it were the writings of Percy Fawcett. And when he wrote about them, it was kind of an interesting way he wrote about it. It was more of like you guys kind of wanted me to comment on the fucking animals that I ran across, so this is one I ran across. There wasn't much talk about it when he got back and his reports were read. It was just dismissed.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the show when we did it, Percy was really he was a guy that was very trusted. That's why he was sent over by the king or queen. I don't remember who was. I think it was the king of England sent him over to map parts of South America, and it was because of his attention to detail. So he doesn't seem like the type of guy that would just be like, oh yeah, I saw giant spiders. But he also claimed to have seen a 60-foot long anaconda as well. So, maybe he's prone to exaggeration.
Yeah, he's like, nobody's going to read this part.
Yeah, it's, whatever. Or just to make it sound more mysterious or dangerous. I don't know. But apparently he was a guy that was not prone to exaggeration, and his word was trusted, and he was very detail oriented, and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
anyway,
if you haven't heard our Percy Fawcett episode, I highly recommend it. That guy's a super duper badass, and they made some movie with that kid from that motorcycle TV show and the Sparkly Kid vampire movie, and it was actually really, really good. It was a great film, and Percy Fawcett's just badass.
It was The Lost City of Z, right?
That was it. I watched it a few times.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh man, you should definitely watch it. It's fucking cool. Fuck going into uncharted territory, I'll tell you that.
Are there giant spiders in it?
No.
Do they fight dinosaurs?
I wish.
God damn it. What a waste. Anyway, that's not the only one the only sighting that's been reported in South America. More recently, in the town of San Rafael, the local shaman there said that he witnessed this giant tarantula creep out of the jungle and take a dog from the edge of the village. And he said the spider reared up, bit him, delivered its venom, and dragged the dog back into the jungle. So, I mean, now that's just anecdotal. It's not, there's nothing more behind it. Like with Percy Fawcett, he had the weight of who he was behind him. But there've been stories about giant spiders that they pop up in a lot of folklore. I mean, even today in a lot of fantasy novels and things like that, there's giant spiders. And it really think about it, though. They're just really fucking spiders themselves. A lot of people have a deep, deep fear of them. Like some people, just the sight of a spider will send chills down their spine. Whether it's real or a picture, that's enough. It's so scary to them.
Yeah, I think that's where my other half of apprehension comes from when I think of giant spiders as cryptids. Is, like I said, the first half is a living dinosaur and the other half is just ancient sci-fi monster. It was like a easy go-to when it came to scary stuff. Just like it sounds, a giant spider, a bat,
right?
A skeleton.
If people, a giant snake. Oh my god! But it is though, because it's like if a small one is scary, just imagine how big a giant one would be. And just what we know about spiders too, their whole method of hunting. Like if you get caught in the web and you're stuck, and then you've got the giant spider approaching you, and what are you gonna do? The more you struggle, the more tangled you get. And just that thought, like if you really think about that, that's scary as shit. But how big do you think? Do you know how big the largest spider ever recorded was?
No, that's not something I would look up. I'm not too scared of spiders, but I'm sure they're big. But I'm sure you're going to impress me.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive. So there's a tie. One was recorded in 1965. This was the first one, and it was recorded in Venezuela. But it was a male Goliath bird-eating spider, and it had a leg span of 11 inches, and they were able to put it on a dinner plate, and it covered the dinner plate.
Ugh.
And then in 1998, there was another person who bred this from a little baby. It was 2 years old, and it also it had the same leg span of 11 inches. And this was in 1998. So those are the biggest ones known to science. And if you've never seen a Goliath bird-eating spider, you should look up what it looks like, because it's a type of tarantula, but they're huge, very thick bodied. They've got long legs, and they are just, if you're afraid of spiders, they're scary as shit. Me personally, I used to be really afraid of spiders. I think they're fucking awesome though. and I'm getting over my fear of them. Like whenever I see them in the wild, I'm like, yes, and I sit there and I'll check them out and watch them for a while. But I don't want them crawling on me. I haven't gotten there yet. We haven't reached that level. We'll get there, just not yet. I'm working on it. But anyway, that's the biggest spider known to, proven to exist, and they only live in certain areas of the world. They're in Guyana, French Guyana, and there've also been species found in Venezuela and Brazil.
So 11 inches. I mean, that's a giant fucking spider, but I don't think that's in the realm of a cryptid. Do you?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, if you were to wake up and that thing was like sitting on your face, though, that would be that'd be a very, very scary experience.
Yeah, that would be definitely.
Because just think, it's so big, you feel the hair on it, and it's just sitting on your face. It probably weighs like half a pound or something.
Yeah, it would be terrifying, and I would, probably do my normal defecation and then scream and faint. But after everything was said and done, I would have been like, Jesus, that was the biggest spider I've ever fucking seen. I didn't think they could get that big. So what's the spider that you found that makes it fall into the category of cryptid?
It's called the J'Ba Fofi.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those awesome Congo cryptids, which just, the Congo seems like the most magical, mystical place on Earth with all the cryptids they have living there. They got fucking dinosaurs, giant spiders.
I beg to differ, sir. I actually sent Mike a book a while ago that we have never had the time to get to for some odd reason, and it's probably packed away now, but I would say Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands.
Yeah, that's not the Congo, though.
But they got dinosaurs,
the Congo,
too.
Come on. They've made a movie about the Congo with super smart gray gorillas that pound people's skulls in. It's a mystical land of magic and dinosaurs. and giant spiders. The J'Ba Fofi. So the J'Ba Fofi it's been something that the natives in the area have reported since like the 1890s, when it was the cool thing for the British guys to do and go on safari in Africa and meet the local people and all that stuff.
Yeah, a time when the title of adventurer is an actual thing.
Yeah. Like they're fucking making friends with the natives and getting guides through the jungle and hearing all the cool stories and stuff. And so it's been something that's been rumored since the 1890s, but the most well-known case comes from 1938, and there was a English couple, R.K. Lloyd and his wife Marguerite, and they were going on a tour through the jungle. At the time, it was Belgium, Congo, but now we just know it as the Congo. But they were coming down a trail, and in front of them, they first thought it was either a monkey running on all fours or a large cat. But as they got closer, they realized that it was a spider that they said was between 3 and 5 feet tall. And they what do you do when you see a giant spider? They held
Shit
their
ground. Pants and passed out, right?
And they didn't want to run. They didn't want to go towards it. But apparently the spider just kept going. It didn't pay them any mind, and they didn't see it again. But that's like the most well-known story of a witness, and because it's from an English couple, it holds weight for some reason. But the story was reported in a book by George Eberhardt, who's he was writing a book on cryptozoology. And this story came up. I don't know if he knew the people or if he knew someone else that knew them. But I think we might have talked about this guy, William Gibbons, on the show when we did the Mongolian Bembe episode.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was one of those wacky guys who did expeditions to try to go find Mongolian Bembe.
Yes.
But on his third search or his third expedition, he wrote about this creature that he found, and he talked to the natives about it, and they shared some stories with him. So I've got a quote here from him that I'm going to read, where he talks about what he was told by the natives and what they experienced with the J'Ba Fofi. On this third expedition to equatorial Africa, I took the opportunity to inquire if the pygmies knew of such a giant spider, and indeed they did. They spoke of the J'Ba Fofi, which is a giant or great spider. They described a spider that is generally brown in color with a purple abdomen. They grow to quite an enormous size with a leg span of at least 5 feet. The giant arachnids weave together a lair made of leaves similar in shape to a traditional pygmy hut, and spin a circular web, said to be very strong, between 2 trees with a strand stretched across a game trail. These giant ground-dwelling spiders prey on the diminutive forest antelope, birds, and other small game, and are said to be extremely dangerous, not to mention highly venomous. The spiders are said to lay white, peanut-sized eggs in a cluster, and the pygmies give them a wide berth when encountered, but have killed them in the past. The giant spiders were once very common, but are now a rare sight.
Wow. That's it gives it a creepy feel.
Yeah. Like that there was at some point in the recent past there's a great battle between the pygmies and these giant spiders, and the pygmies are winning. They're pushing them further and further into the jungle.
Yeah,
but they're plotting their revenge, and the spiders will come back. And when they do, you can bet your ass they're gonna suck you dry.
Man, that would be horrific. Now you're talking 5-foot diameter spider that can, fuck dogs. That can grab a small adult.
Yeah. And I mean, really, pygmies are small adults. They're about 5 feet tall.
Yeah,
maybe even shorter. So you got this thing that's got a leg span as wide as it is tall. Just look at spiders, like a spider web. How often do they catch things that are bigger than they are and just go up, bite it, fill it with venom, and wrap it up? That's it. What are they gonna do? Spiders don't fuck around, man. But there's all these different stories about the way that they hunt, and the fact that they'll create these like they'll build a burrow like a trapdoor spider, and they'll have strands that'll come across the floor, so if anything steps on it, it sends vibrations into their little burrow. But then they'll set up further down the trail, they'll set up a big web across trees and shit. So then someone triggers their thing, and they come up out of their burrow, chase their prey into the web that they built, and then boom, they're done.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's got some cunning.
Yeah.
It's building traps. It's hunting. It's so scary.
Yeah. When you're talking about the world record spider, 11 inches, that's a little scary, but
yeah,
I'd pick up something heavy and hit it with it. 5 feet, that's a total different ball game.
Yeah, phone book's not going to help you with 5 feet.
No.
But there's a lot of talk of these spiders. There's not too many other real, well, I don't even want to say real, but there's not too many more reports other than, if you look on Reddit, of course, you're going to find reports everywhere about giant spiders. It seems to be folklore in the Congo among the tribes. I did find another story, and this is definitely one of those take this with a grain of salt type of stories, but it takes place in the U.S. of all, nothing exotic here, but apparently there was a giant spider sighting in the United States. And this was a man named, he was only identified as Mr. L. Smith. He reported in 2013 that he was fishing on the Missouri River, and he encountered this creature that was 5 feet wide, and he said it had long, hairy legs that looked like a spider. And there's a quote from him that says, I'm lucky to go fishing almost every weekend, wife allowing, so I know what kind of animals live around here. I have plenty of experience around the woods and the river, and it was around noon. Sit down a few minutes for a smoke, and when I start hearing dry leaves moving on the left, I turn my head to where I heard the noise, and I see a huge, long pair of hairy legs grabbing my canteen that I had just placed there a few seconds ago. Sheesh, it scared the bejesus out of me. I almost swallowed the smoke. So this was apparently a very thirsty spider because he was trying to steal the canteen.
It went right for his booze.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't just water.
I wonder if it was saying in spider tongue, "Hey, partner, can I sit by your fire and warm myself up with a shot of your brandy there? Any luck today, sir?"
But there's a couple ideas of what these might be.
Yeah, if that's 2013 and he's just not saying I saw a giant fucking spider, I'm kind of concerned as to why.
Yeah. As far as the Missouri or the where was it? God damn, I already forgot.
Missouri?
The Missouri, yeah. As far as the Missouri River one goes, I don't think that one can be explained away with the way that I've heard the J'Ba Fofi explained. So the J'Ba Fofi, it's thought to be a type of crab, and there's a couple ideas of what it might be. There's these things called coconut crabs. They don't live in the Congo, but they live on islands in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. They're pretty rare these days, and they grow very slow, but you've probably seen pictures of them before. You know that picture on the internet that shows a garbage can with like the world's biggest crab hanging from it?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And when you said the world record was 11 inches, I was going to say, I've seen those fucking coconut crabs way bigger than that, and they're scary.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for you to mention that this might be what they're saying this Bubab Shawaya is, but it's still not spider enough for me to call it that.
Well, I don't want to say, I guess a theory. There is a theory that this is an unknown species of crab. And it's, the reasoning is, and this is with a lot of the giant animal reports. It just doesn't work when you have things that large because of either their body structure or breathing capabilities. In the case of spiders, it doesn't work. For one, it would the size would fuck with their respiration, and for two, their exoskeleton wouldn't be strong enough to support the weight, let alone move around and do what a spider would do if it were to be a giant spider.
You're gonna literally let does whatever a spider can pass by like that?
Now that you called it out, I don't have a choice. I gotta leave it. Gotta just leave it dangling. But it just wouldn't be able to, in the same way that a human giant wouldn't be able to work, because the way the structure of our legs, our bones would literally break if we were giants. So we would have to have a different skeletal structure. So it's thinking there's thought that it might be a undiscovered type of giant land crab that would be about the same size. It would be between 4 and 6 feet wide, but it would have a stronger exoskeleton, so it would be able to support its weight. And like we can see with the coconut crabs, that's a possibility. And if it's anything like coconut crabs, they are omnivorous, but they are known to go and raid farms and eat live chicken. But they'll also act as scavengers and eat vegetables or fruit that's fallen, or even dead animals, roadkill and whatnot. If it's a land crab, it would have a burrow. So it wouldn't be spinning webs necessarily, but it would have a burrow. So that might be where they would get the trapdoor spider comparison, because it lives in this burrow. And then it would come out if disturbed or attacked. but it would be looking for places where it would be kind of a natural place to burrow, like under a tree or a stump or something like that. And it would take on the appearance of a mound. So it would be similar to how they described the spiders building a nest like a pygmy hut. So maybe that's the answer, but and we know in the Congo there are like lakes and things like that because that's where Mongolian Mbembe is most prominently found. So it would create a decent place for, if they were land crabs, to mate and lay eggs, and then the babies would hatch. But I don't know, that seems weird to me too, because I feel like while they look similar, crabs and spiders are also pretty different. And a lot of these reports are saying that they're seeing it attack things and use its venom to kill it.
Ooh, good point. That's a very good point.
I mean, what if they're giant venomous crabs, though? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I was going to point out the Japanese spider crab. You've seen those, right?
Yeah.
Those things, I mean, on average, their leg span is 4 feet, and the biggest one on record, unbelievably, is 12 feet long from tip to tip.
Damn. Yeah. That's pretty spooky.
Yeah, so if we're talking some type of undiscovered species of crab, that could be it right there. Some type of land spider crab. Dun dun dun.
Maybe. And it can shoot webs for some reason. Or maybe it's not even webs. Maybe it's just like some sticky goop that it trails like a fucking slug or something. But personally, I think that this is very likely just one of those stories that the native people told explorers just to make it seem like more dangerous. You know, as if the rainforest wasn't dangerous enough. Now they're like, oh, you gotta be careful of the fucking dinosaurs and giant spiders. And they're like, oh shit, and they're fucking eating it up because it's like, oh my god, it's mystical Africa.
Yeah,
there's wonders galore. Of course, there's giant spiders and fucking flies and mosquitoes and everything's giant. And there's a magical area where dinosaurs still exist. I'm surprised there weren't stories of cities of gold. There probably were. I probably just don't know about them. Now I've got to look up African cities of gold.
That'd be cool.
The African, what's it called? What's El Dorado?
Yeah.
The African El Dorado.
I mean, honestly, it's probably a good deterrent to like help foreign explorers get the fuck out of where you live too, and start spreading rumors of ultra dangerous shit, right?
Yeah. Just if you see these mounds in the forest, stay the fuck away, because a giant spider's going to come out and chase you into a web and eat the shit out of you.
Right.
But goddamn, that is terrifying to consider, though. Like, just mull it over in your imagination for a few minutes and think about how scary it would be to trigger a fucking giant trapdoor spider to chase you. You think you're outrunning it, and then boom, face first into its web, and then it hits you from behind, and then you're being eaten by a giant spider.
Yeah. Like you said, that's a level of intelligence and planning.
Yeah.
What if when it got to you, it was just like, hello, Steve.
I saw a documentary on it might have been a Goliath bird-eating spider, but it fucking ate a rattlesnake, dude.
Whoa.
Like, its fangs were just stabbing the shit out of it over and over and over. And it ate a fucking rattlesnake.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that bird-eating spider that Mike's mentioning, definitely look it up, because they're able to eat birds and shit like that because of their straight-up hardware. Giant dagger-like fangs. Their
fangs are huge, and they're so scary. But as far as the giant spider / crab in the jungle, I'm not buying it. I don't think it's a real thing. I just think it's some crazy concoction by stupid European guys that don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they want to sound cool, like they fought monsters.
Well, I definitely believe that locals started stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see him doing it either to fuck with the people or kind of try to make them scared so they don't go into certain areas. And then they probably laugh about how gullible the explorers were for buying the stupid stories about the giant spider. Just like, did I tell the story about the snow snake on the show?
Yeah, when we did the Creatures of the Liverwoods too.
Yeah, it's just like that. Like you fuck with the guy who's not from around here, and that's what they were doing. They're like, you know what? We're sick of you taking over our stuff. So there's giant spiders here. Stay the fuck away. And like, oh shit, we don't want to contend with giant spiders.
Yeah.
And then so they stay away. But it's bullshit. There's no giant spiders.
I wish.
I still want to believe in Mokili and Bembe, though. I'm not willing to give up on that one yet. Or the Mbilu.
Yeah.
Just give me some fucking dinosaur. I don't care. I want a dinosaur to be real, damn it.
Yeah, there's a report that was going around that we might get into. I've got to see what comes of it, but there's apparently, I didn't know there was any to begin with, but such an increase in pteranodon sightings in North Carolina that it's making...
Yeah, my cousin Shane was just telling me about that. Shout out to cousin Shane.
Cousin Shane. Yeah.
He was just talking to me about that. I hadn't heard about it. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Pterodactyls in North Carolina.
I'll look into that a little bit and see if there's anything to talk about, but yeah, that's just weird to hear.
Yeah, but dinosaurs aren't creepy and crawly enough. So what do you have that's creepy and crawly that you want to discuss?
Well, I've got an old favorite.
Ooh.
But I kind of ran into a little bit of a problem when I wanted to brush up on it. I'm going to talk about the Mongolian deathworm. And
the Mongolian deathworm.
Yeah, you bet your ass. There's a Mongolian deathworm metal song coming.
I remember when I first started reading about cryptids, and like that, the Mongolian deathworm to me was like one of the most boring ones of all. Like I'm like, it's a fucking worm that just kills people in the desert. That's so stupid. I hate that thing. It's so boring. I don't give a fuck. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, it's a worm in the desert that just murders people. Hell yeah.
Well, see, I never gave it much thought when I started studying cryptozoology either. It just, I never really came across any stories of it murdering people. It was just something that existed. I mean, when the U.S. first went to war in the Middle East, you heard stories about camel spiders and you didn't believe them. And then pictures started showing up of these things that they looked alien. You're like, holy shit. So that kind of made me go, maybe there was something.
I was thinking of bringing them up when I was talking about spiders, because I do remember those, and the famous picture where it looks like this weird long thing with like all these legs. It's two of these things connected together. They're called they're known by a bunch of different things. I think sun scorpions, wind scorpions, camel spiders, but they're not spiders or scorpions. They're called, I think, solifuge, maybe something like that. They're scary as fuck, but they're not even spiders. But I remember the stories that they would like jump up and disembowel camels and run after the soldiers and shit.
Yeah, I was like, maybe there's a Mongolian deathworm, bro. It could be something like that.
Yeah, just some desert evil animal.
Yeah. When I wanted to brush up on the Mongolian deathworm, I busted out my old favorites. I've got the Encyclopedia of Unsolved Mysteries by Wilson. I've got Cryptozoology A through Z by Lauren Coleman and Jerome Clark. And I've got the ever-famous Unexplained by Jerome Clark.
Best book ever.
It is. None of these books have anything about the Mongolian deathworm in it.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, not one book That's
crazy.
Has anything about the Mongolian deathworm in it. So I had to do some basic, quick research on it. I found some interesting shit, but it kind of falls into the same category as that giant spider. It's something that's said to be there, but probably isn't, but could be. But they kind of do a little bit of reverse psychology on people asking about it, which I found interesting. But the Mongolian deathworm first appeared in Western literature in explorer, adventurer, and field paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews' 1926 book, On the Trail of Ancient Man. He heard stories about this creature during a meeting of Mongolian officials, and he noted that they had never seen one. They believed in its existence firmly. But his book cites a description given by the Mongolian prime minister, I believe from the time. His name was Dam Din. Fuck, I knew I was going to blow it. Dam Din Bazaar. And his description is, quote, "It is shaped like a sausage, about 2 feet long, has no head nor leg, and it is so poisonous that merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert."
To me, that sounds like the cockatrice or the basilisk. You know, it's so poisonous that even looking at it will kill you.
Yeah, it's very interesting because later on, there's another dude who went to look at this thing, and some of the locals described it as using electricity to attack because people who touch it seem to fucking keel over dead. I think that it's so poisonous that the best way they can describe it is that it must use electricity, because if you touch it, it's zip, you're gone.
So maybe it's a magical sausage.
A magical sand sausage.
It's an old Mongolian wizard that went against Genghis Khan. So Genghis Khan's other wizard turned him into a magic sausage, and they just threw him into the Gobi Desert. And they're like, "That is where your faith will be." And he just sits there baking in the sun of the Gobi Desert, becoming a frizzle fried sausage in the sand. And he gets so pissed. All he wants to do is, he's got such hatred for mankind. And so now anyone that comes across this withered sausage in the desert, he just shoots lightning bolts at, and they die instantly.
Well, there is a Czech Republic cryptozoologist, fucking goddamn it, Czech cryptozoologist Ivan Mackerel, I'm going to say, described the creature's attributes in his 1987 book, I'm going to blow this one, Al-Tahin Tespadak Good, and it's described to him by the locals in his book, and it states that these creatures live underground, and they leave a telltale wave pattern in the sand that lets you know that they're around, and they've traveled nearby. They say that this animal can kill you from afar, several yards away, in fact, by spraying its venom. They say it's not spitting. They say it sprays venom. And again, this venom is so poisonous that it'll kill you instantly. I guess they try to use that as a demonstration of how poisonous it is. It's never mind, it's fucking poison. If you even touch it, you're dead. And again,
okay, so it's not a lightning bolt. It's a fucking Melf's acid arrow or something.
Well, he got both.
Or stinking cloud.
He got both reports: a spitting of venom, and then some locals believe that it used electricity to attack.
Maybe it's venomous electricity.
Ooh, good God. That's some pissed off wizard sausage.
That's what I'm saying. Only a wizard sausage would be that devious to combine electricity and poison and use it to inflict harm to any that come across his sausagey form.
Oh, God. But it is also said that they prey on camels. They attack them and kill them and live in their intestines where they lay their eggs. And the locals even say that's where it gets its red color from.
Either that or what are sausages cased in?
Oh my God.
They need new casings because whenever they kill someone, they capture the soul. And then that captured soul gets imbued with wizard power and becomes another evil wizard sausage. So they need the casings.
This thing is earning its name of death worm more and more every second.
Yeah, you too can become a death sausage. If you meet a death sausage in the desert, it will kill you, but then you get to become the death sausage.
But much like Mokele and Bembe, there have been investigations and searches for the Mongolian death worm. In 1990 through 1992, Mr. Ivan Mackerel searched the Gobi Desert for the Mongolian death worm. He was so desperate to catch this thing, he even implored the use of thumping machines, things that would hit the desert floor, trying to draw it in like fucking Dune and Tremors and shit. But that didn't work.
Listen, just like a horny Bigfoot, you don't find the Mongolian deathworm. The Mongolian deathworm finds you.
Yeah. I think we're going to learn that more once we apply wizard sausage to all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They can disguise themselves. They're wizards. They can cast invisibility at will. They could fucking levitate and slap you in the face with their greasy sausage self. Leave red sausage juice smeared across your glasses, then you can't see. Then it blasts you with its electrical poisonous discharge.
Ugh.
Yeah, when I add discharge, it just makes it extra gross, but let's be real. It's a wizard sausage. What else is it going to do?
In 2005, Richard Freeman from the Center for Freudian Zoology searched for the Mongolian deathworm. He too found nothing, and he concluded that it was some sort of an amphibana, and that's literally a lizard worm. What the fuck is a lizard worm, you might ask? It's just like it sounds.
I was going to ask what a lizard worm was, actually.
It is a fucking lizard worm. It's weird.
But is this like grape nuts, where it's not a grape or a nut?
Yeah. So
where does it belong? Is it a misfit? Who is your parents?
In 2006 and 2007, TV show Destination Truth led an expedition into the Gobi Desert that turned up nothing. 2009 entertainment reporter David Fieri took part in a search for the Mongolian deathworm. They did not find it, but he did note that he spoke with locals who believed in the creature's existence as fact, and that they spoke of it, of a spike of sightings of the creature in the 50s. Now, like I said in the beginning, there's no Mongolian deathworm shit in any of my books, and that's because apparently in 1983, some fucking party pooper went over to the Gobi Desert there and showed them all a specimen of something called a tartar sand boa, and all the locals confirmed it as being the creature called the Mongolian
like a
deathworm.
boa, like a boa constrictor.
Yeah, so that's
so it's not a sausage; it's a snake.
Well, see, that's.
Are you kidding me?
Well, when you, I didn't buy that at all. When you hear the description of them,
it's so disappointing.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, if they're seeing a snake, snakes are not uncommon in the fucking desert, in any desert. So I don't think that they would just make up this whole new creature just to have somebody show them a snake and say, yeah, that's it. I think they were doing what the pygmies were doing, but being a little bit more clever. I think that too many people were coming. I mean, look at the dates of these expeditions. You know, fucking, God damn it, where did I put my last page? 1990, 1992, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2009. I think they got sick of people going over there and bothering them, and they said, yep, that's it. That's the one. So people would fuck off.
Either that or the sausage can shapeshift, and it can become a snake. That's its secondary form.
Yeah.
It's secondary form.
There you go. You got one in there, buddy. Good job. One thing I did notice when I was looking for the Mongolian deathworm in all my books is that the tassel worm kept popping up. And when I looked up what a fucking lizard worm was, that instantly came up. Are you familiar with the tassel worm?
I'm kind of. I do remember reading about it, but honestly, I cannot recall much about it other than it's a thing that I've read about and I'm familiar with the name. That's about all I got.
That's everything I know. But this thing has been reported in the Austrian, Bavarian, French, Italian, and Swiss Alps for centuries. The Swiss call it a stolen worm, which means tunnel worm. There's a couple other translations I've seen, something like short-foot worm or something like that. But all the different regions all gave it a different name. Bergstatten, Bergstatzen is a mountain stump, and a springworm means jumping worm. The French call it a arceracis, I think. That's how you say that. But it's described as a stubby lizard with 2 formidable forearms and 2 tiny, almost non-existent hind legs. 1 to 7 feet long. And in Austria and Bavaria, they say that it has poisonous breath.
Poison breath aside, that sounds like the rock slider thing from the Lumberwoods on a smaller scale. And it even lives in the mountains.
It does. But there's a lot of descriptions of this thing that make it kind of weird. One of the names they have for it is a cat-headed serpent. And it has a black and gray body and no legs. And this is closely associated with Tetzel worm. And there's some specialists that say there was a famous account of an encounter with one, and its description was quite close to this Tetzel worm. So this cat-headed serpent was almost called a Tetzel worm from then on. But there have been recorded sightings of the Tetzel worm. Johann and Thomas Tinner were climbers from the 1600s. They said they saw a 7-foot-long cat-headed serpent in Switzerland. And I actually came across a fucking dirt-ass old book that has a quote from one of these dudes, one of these brothers, about seeing this fucking thing. And he said, quote, its length was at least 7 feet, its girth approximately that of an apple tree. It had the head like that of a cat, but no feet. He said that he smote and slew it with the assistance of his brother. He added that before it was killed, the people of the neighborhood complained that the milk was withdrawn from their cows and that they could never discover the author of the mischief.
So you're telling me that a cat lizard is sucking cow titties?
That's what I'm saying. And that's something that we've talked about before. It's one of the creatures.
What? We've talked about cat lizards sucking cow titties. That seems very specific to have us talking about that previously.
I think it was that rolling lizard from the Creatures of the Lumberwoods were said to steal milk from the cows. So
we've got a connection, another Lumberwoods connection.
Yes, we do.
Oh my God, the world is truly a magical place.
It is. In 1660, climber Andreas Rodner saw a cat-faced mountain dragon in Switzerland.
What?
Yeah.
A cat-faced mountain dragon?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and you'll notice that this all takes a turn to where this tinselworm is just a type of dragon. Johannes Buehler, who was a naturalist in Sweden, had an encounter, and his quote was in this old-ass book too. He said it was an enormous black beast standing on 4 legs, having a crest 6 inches long on its head. And this book actually talks about another sighting from a dude named Christopher Schroer, who reported that in 1649, I was admiring the beauty of the sky by night when I saw a bright and shining dragon issue from a large cave in the mountain commonly called Philetus, and fly about with rapidly flapping wings. It was very big and had a long tail. Its neck was outstretched. Its head ended with a serpent's serrated jaw. It threw out sparks as it flew, like a red-hot horseshoe when the blacksmith hammers it. At first, I imagined that what I saw was a meteor, but after observing it carefully, I preserved that it was a dragon from the nature of its movements and the structure of its limbs.
What if this thing is like some sort of reptilian craft?
Whoa.
And they're using the mountains as like an underground base, and they create these weird dragon craft to kind of maneuver, and that's why they got flippers in the front, because they're on the mountain, so they can kind of slide and use that to steer, and then when they need to, they fly and shoot sparks off because they're lizard people and
they love shooting sparks.
It's not quite perfect. Yeah, I mean, if I learned everything from the Loveland Lizard Man, they love shooting their sparks.
Oh, cryptozoology humor, folks. It works
Bunch
when
of
you're a
nerds.
loser. Yeah. But the most famous case of this Tetzel worm happened to a dude named Hans Fuchs in 1779, which is pretty fucking recent, right? I mean, America's being fucking founded while this guy is fighting off dragons. But he said that 2 tatzelworms appeared in front of him unexpectedly. And this frightened him so much that he ran back inside and suffered what they called a stress-induced fatal heart attack. And as he slipped away, he told his family about what he saw. And it was noted that it was stress-induced. He didn't just drop over dead, that he had time to go back home and he, quote, just couldn't shake the fright.
So it gave him the fear.
Yeah.
And it stuck with him. Damn.
And it actually killed him. And when he died, his family had a painting commissioned of him. And they included 2 tatzelworms in the picture. And
wow, way to rub it in, guys. Fucking dicks. Like, oh, he died by these cat snakes. Oh.
Specialists say that the description given in this painting is the most widespread description of a tatzelworm.
I'm absolutely adding a tatzelworm to my D&D campaign at some point. So if you guys are listening, it's coming. You're not going to know when. Much like the sausage wizard, it'll find you when the time is right.
It'll find you when it wants to. But sorry for all my gross mispronunciations all through that. I tried. I'm just not good at it. It's like playing Guitar Hero when a blue note's coming up. You remember those days when it just appears and it's coming to you and just scream as loud as you can, and when it comes you just miss it anyway?
I've never had that happen.
I did. It made me shit my pants.
Well, that's disgusting.
My friends never let me come over again.
They labeled me Pooh Boy.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram,